Hey everyone. So I've been putting a lot of just thinking and prayer into how to start this and just kind of where to go with it. But decided I'm just gonna let things happen. To start off, I want to introduce myself. My name is Sarah, and I am a survivor of sexual assault, amongst other things. But because of that, I did the 30-day challenge with NSVRC, which I'm very grateful for. Completed that this past month, and found it I wanted to continue and take that further than just, a little challenge for 1 month. I've decided to do this Scars to Stories on Mondays for motivational stories on Monday. My personal stories in hopes that it might help you or anybody else out there, whoever sees this or comes across it. I hope so, but really just to give back to the community and give back to those who've given to me. I was adopted when I was 6, almost 7, basically 7, along with 2 biological sisters, for those of you who don't know. So when I was adopted, there was a lot of damage done before my parents now even took us in, and they couldn't have known the damage done, and quite frankly didn't understand a lot of the damage done until much later. But I believe that my parents did the best that they could with what they had. I do want to say that there was a lot of chaos, I guess the best way to put it, a lot of dirty stuff behind just our adoption and how it came about, not necessarily from my parents, but more so because of the government, and a lot of that, it's not something I'm ready to share about yet, just because I like to have my information accurate before I share it, but also because, like I said, there are some things I'm going to share and some things I'm going to withhold. So when I was almost 7, and then I had my middle sister was 5, and my youngest sister was 3 at the time. And my first encounter with the whole sexual assault was my biological father. I was raped when I was 4 years old and experienced a lot of ritualization that actually, because of the trauma and the damage done there, it was actually, what is it called? Like when your brain when it's too overload for you, especially as a young child, it will literally get blocked out, if that makes sense. So a lot of the memories, a lot of the damaged memories, a lot of the traumatic memories were actually blocked out and stored up. I go on about my life with that there. Did not learn about it until I was, I think, 21, 22, when I went through a program that, while not everything they taught and or believed in I am in coherence with, there are things that they did do and did teach that I do believe in, and that's the things I took away from it. In that program, I was able to work through a lot of the spiritual warfare, a lot of the spiritual battles that are not physical, right? And so therefore, doctors can't understand, doctors couldn't see what wasn't there, if that makes sense. Like, you could say, like, you can have a bruise on your arm or a scar on your arm, and it's like, well, clearly there's something wrong there. But with things like dissociative identity disorder, which is known as DID, things like anxiety, things like depression, right? That's not something that's physically there, but it's still there, and it still affects you as a whole. And so that being there did affect my growing up and me going into my teenage years and my adulthood and into the army. It played a huge factor, more than I even cared to realize, and unfortunately didn't really get to upheaval and or work through until a little bit later, and when I got counseling and therapy that I found worked for me. And I say that because it's really important that it doesn't matter that you do counseling and therapy, it matters that you do it in the way you need and what's best for you, what that means for you. Because what might work for you may not work for your family member, your friend, your spouse, you know? In the same way of what might work for them may not work for you. And so I had to learn that over the years and come to a point of understanding that, like, what I have worked through and worked hard to survive and come out of, others are still working to accept, and others are working to understand, others are working to be supportive, be a part of, or understanding where they want to stand in the story. That's totally okay. However, for me, I had to come to terms with and understand that didn't mean that I had to wait around, and that didn't mean that I had to be your pal or your friend, or, you know, bend to what such and such needs were, right? Just because they weren't at the place that I was. No, I get to be free and walk in that freedom, even if those I want to be on my journey with me aren't there yet, and that's okay. That's love in a form that most of the world doesn't know. So yeah, I guess that would be my first story that I would like to start off with, just because I felt, as I've been praying through this and just mulling it over my mind, I think it's important to start from the beginning. And there's a lot of more deep issues and deep trauma and pain, even in my being adopted and before being in America, but that I'll dig into more as time goes on. I just like to try to stick with a certain time frame. So yeah, if you have any questions, concerns, or need to reach out, please feel free to. If I am not at that place or don't know how to help you, I still want to be here for you wherever you are. And to all of you who have shared your story and been a part of this huge movement, just thank you, because it's been really powerful and a huge impact in my life. So, all right, talk to you guys next Monday. Bye.